The year is 2011. The world is holding its breath. For nearly a decade, the most wanted man on the planet, the architect of 9/11, Osama bin Laden, has been a ghost, a phantom hiding in the shadows of Pakistan. Then, the crackle of a radio transmission, the code word, Geronimo. The mission is a success. The symbol of global terror is dead, shot in his Abbottabad compound by a team of Navy SEALs. Relief explodes across America. It's the definitive end to a decade-long hunt. It is, unequivocally, history written. But what if that code word never came? What if the SEALs, after a 45-minute firefight, boarded their chopper with nothing but dust and failure? What if Osama bin Laden, with a head start of mere minutes, simply slipped away? The true history is astounding, but the unwritten history, that's a global crisis. The political firestorm that would have erupted is a scenario that still haunts the deepest corridors of the Pentagon. You're about to see the real mission details, the deadly, audacious plan known as Operation Neptune Spear. And then we rewrite the script. The complete collapse of the Obama presidency, the most brutal diplomatic breakdown with Pakistan in modern history, the new war that almost started. Before we dive into this geopolitical nightmare, if you are as fascinated by these pivotal moments in history as we are, and you want to keep exploring the what-ifs that shaped our world, hit that subscribe button right now. Your support fuels these deep dives. Let's get back to the shadows. The search for bin Laden was a 15-year epic, a trail of breadcrumbs that finally led intelligence to a massive 3-story compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. It was not a cave, but an affluent neighborhood, just a stone's throw from a major Pakistani military academy. Our roadmap today will take us through 3 critical stages. Part 1. Audacity and Execution. We'll detail the astonishing risk of Operation Neptune Spear, the deployment of SEAL Team 6, and the pivotal, non-negotiable objective, killer capture. Part 2. The diplomatic powder keg, the real-world aftermath, how the successful raid immediately strained an already tenuous U.S.-Pakistan relationship. Part 3. The Great Escape, our alternate reality. Bin Laden is gone. We analyze the ensuing global humiliation, the inevitable political collapse, and the military fallout of a failed mission. Get ready. The tension is about to get thick. To understand the failure, you must first appreciate the razor-thin margin of success. The CIA had no hard proof, no photograph, no voice recording, that bin Laden was actually inside that compound. The entire mission was based on a meticulously tracked courier, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. It was a best guess with a 50-50 confidence level, according to President Obama. This lack of certainty is the first layer of stress. Imagine staking a presidency, a global reputation, and the lives of 24 of your most elite soldiers on a 50% chance. That's the weight on the shoulders of Admiral McRaven and President Obama on April 29, 2011, when the final order was given. The date, May 2, 2011. The time, after midnight. The weapon of choice, 2 highly modified stealth Black Hawk helicopters. This was a one-way trip into Pakistani airspace, completely bypassing their air defenses. The Pakistani military had no idea this was happening. The insertion plan was brilliant. 1 chopper on the roof, the other in the courtyard. But the physics of a compound surrounded by 18-foot walls and an unexpected air pocket, the air was thinner than predicted, intervened. The first chopper, the one intended for the roof, suffered a catastrophic loss of lift and slammed into the courtyard wall. This is the crucial inflection point. The SEALs were now compromised. They were on the ground in a hostile, sovereign nation, 1 helicopter disabled, and the world had no idea. The mission clock, a maximum of 45 minutes on the ground, was ticking faster than ever. The remaining SEALs, now on the ground, didn't hesitate. They scaled the walls, breached doors with explosives, and advanced into the main structure. They were operating on the SAS motto, "Who dares wins." They moved through the house, floor by floor, clearing rooms, neutralizing targets like Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti and his brother. The confrontation with bin Laden was quick, violent, and final. He was killed by gunshot wounds to the head and chest. The ultimate target, the ghost who eluded them for a decade, was finally brought down. The SEALs collected documents, hard drives, and electronics, a priceless haul of intelligence. They destroyed the downed stealth chopper to protect its technology, and they were gone within 45 minutes, flying bin Laden's body out of Pakistan. This wasn't just a successful raid, it was a perfect political and military win. But what if one single thing, bin Laden's early warning, a faster reaction from the Pakistani military, had turned that 50-50 chance into a total loss? Even with the world-changing success of the mission, the relationship with Pakistan immediately spiraled into a deep freeze. The successful raid was widely supported by over 90% of the American public. But in Pakistan, it was seen as an unacceptable violation of sovereignty. Condemned by 2/3 of the Pakistani public, the government faced mass anger over the U.S. breach of their defenses. The fact that bin Laden was hiding for 9 years in a military town, just miles from the nation's top military academy, led many in the U.S. to believe there must have been some level of Pakistani assistance. The Pakistani Abbottabad Commission later called it a collective failure of their military and intelligence. The raid made this suspicion public. The immediate fallout. Pakistan arrested people suspected of helping the CIA identify the compound. The global question. Foreign governments, including Germany, called the killing a violation of international law. The successful killing was a release valve for the U.S. public, but a brutal humiliation for Pakistan. Now, let's go to the dark timeline. The scenario is chillingly simple. The initial Black Hawk crash still happens, throwing the mission into chaos. But this time, the precious 2 minutes of warning, perhaps from a nervous guard or a delayed breaching charge, is all bin Laden needs. He uses the chaos to slip out a back exit, possibly into the labyrinth of tunnels we now know were under the house. The SEALs clear the compound, and the radio transmission back to the White House is not Geronimo. It's negative. Target is not present. The announcement, instead of a national moment of catharsis, becomes a moment of profound institutional shame. Obama's credibility collapse. The president staked his entire political reputation on this high-risk gamble. He would be castigated for a raid that violated a sovereign nation's airspace, resulted in a crashed, multi-million-dollar stealth helicopter, and produced nothing. His approval ratings would tank. The audacity is now seen as recklessness. The new intelligence black hole. Not only did he escape, but bin Laden now knows how close the U.S. came. He shuts down all communications, goes even deeper underground, and changes every single operational security detail. The 10-year manhunt is reset to day 1. The Pakistan crisis, full meltdown. This is the most dangerous part. Pakistan's government can no longer contain its anger. The U.S. violated their territory and failed. Pakistani forces would be mobilized not just to investigate, but to hunt down the remaining SEALs, who are now officially enemy combatants in Pakistani airspace. The diplomatic pressure would be unimaginable. Aid to Pakistan would be immediately cut, and calls for a full military confrontation would dominate the headlines. This could have easily led to a brief, terrifying skirmish between U.S. and Pakistani forces. Al-Qaeda triumphant. Bin Laden's escape is a propaganda victory unlike any other. He becomes a modern-day Houdini. His message to the world: they came for me in my home, and Allah saved me. This narrative fuels a massive spike in recruitment, financing, and a renewed, immediate push for high-profile terror attacks globally. The threat of terrorism is instantly revitalized. It's like reaching the summit of Everest, only to drop the flag inches from the top. The humiliation would have redefined American foreign policy for a generation. The raid was a gamble for an ending. The failure would have been a guarantee of a devastating new chapter in the war on terror. The reality is that Operation Neptune Spear was a near-perfect operation that delivered a definitive, emotional, and political victory. It removed the single most toxic symbol of global terrorism, and it allowed America to finally close the chapter on the 9/11 attacks. But the mere possibility of the escape, the thin margin for error, reveals the incredible fragility of that moment. A second of hesitation, A slight change in the wind, and the history we know would have been shattered, replaced by a dark, volatile future where the ghost of bin Laden still haunted the halls of global power. This is what happens when you rewrite history. We want to hear from you. What part of this history rewritten scenario did you find most compelling? Or what other pivotal event would you like us to explore in the next episode? We'd love to read your ideas in the comments below. Thank you for watching.